Good evening. Welcome back to Tropical Chatter, your go-to source for online information regarding the 2017 hurricane season. Boy, is it an active one. It is September 18th at about 6:30 p.m. We have major hurricane Maria bearing down on Dominica in the Leeward Islands. This extremely strong Category 4 hurricane, rapidly intensifying as it approaches landfall. The inner core in this storm is extremely intense. It is very small. Hurricane force winds only go out about 25-30 miles, but in those 25-30 miles, it is an intense hurricane. As you can see on the Guadeloupe Martinique radar here, it is approaching landfalls in general west-northwest direction, which will take it directly over the island of Dominica. Guadeloupe to the north and Martinique to the south, they will get out of this with just glancing blows, as the core is intense, but it is small. Guadeloupe will sustain a little bit more damage than Martinique, but Dominica is the story. This storm is intense, and it will bring life-threatening conditions and immense damage to the area. If you have friends and family on the island, pray for them. They're going to need it. It is going to be one hell of a rough ride for them tonight. It is not a good-looking picture for them. Let's switch over to the National Hurricane Center 5 p.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. track. They have 130-mile-an-hour sustained winds with a west-northwest movement at 9 miles per hour. This brings it directly over Dominique, towards or if not over the U.S. Virgin Islands, and slams it directly in the eastern side of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, you will not get as lucky as you did with Irma in this. Irma skirted to the north, glancing blows, tropical storm force gust only. This may go down as the strongest storm to ever impact Puerto Rico. That says a lot. They deal with a lot of these systems, but this will go down in the history books as one of the most intense systems to ever impact Puerto Rico. Prepare now. Don't take any chances. It's going to be an immensely strong system by the time it gets to you. There's nothing in its path from now until then to slow this thing down, to weaken it. Satellite estimates already say it's a Category 5. Hurricane hunters are on their way now. They won't be there for about an hour, hour and a half. And I wanted to get this video out sooner than that. It is very likely this storm is already a high-end Category 4 or Category 5 status. As of now, they do have it ranked as a Category 4. Excuse me. But this storm is going to impact Dominica, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico intensely. Major impacts, devastation will occur, catastrophic devastation, catastrophic damage likely to impact all these areas here. Dominican Republic, if this shifts a little bit down south, you can get a direct impact also. As of now, it looks like you're going to be on the south side of the system. Expect gusts well over 100 miles an hour if it's close enough. If it jogs a little bit more north of this current track, the core is so small where you guys might get out of this with only tropical storm force gust. As of now, Puerto Rico does have a hurricane warning. Dominican Republic hurricane watch. This storm is intense. It is a mighty system, and it seems to be the theme of this hurricane season. Storms in this area are just blossoming out of control. Irma Category 5. This storm a Category 4, likely to be Category 5 by the end of the night. Southeast Bahamas, you got to pay attention to this one also. Irma did pass through this area. You guys are going to get another blow. Some of the ensemble models have it down here. Some of them have it out here. You need to pay attention from the Bahamas, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, Dominica. Like I said, Martinique is going to get out of this feeling very lucky. There's going to be some damage there. Tropical storm force winds, maybe gusts approaching hurricane force. Guadeloupe, you're going to be on the northern side. You're going to get hurricane force gusts. Possibly you will get tropical storm force gusts very easily. But Dominica, you're going to take the brunt of this system for tonight, and it's going to be a devastating impact. It's too late to finish any prep, so hunker down, and Lord be with you guys. I want to switch over to, let me get this thing going here, 48-hour outlook and discussion at 5 o'clock by the National Hurricane Center. The eye of the storm was located French radar, 15.1 north, 60.7 west, moving generally west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. This general motion is expected to continue through Wednesday. The center of the storm, like I said, will move directly over Dominique and the adjacent Leeward Islands. Max sustained winds as of 5 o'clock are around 130 miles per hour. This is an extremely dangerous Category 4. Here's what I was talking about the core being so tight but wound up so much. Hurricane force winds only extend out 25 miles from the eye of the storm. But those 25 miles are just going to get destroyed. Tropical storm force winds are out to 125 miles. That brings them to Guadeloupe, Martinique, some of the other much smaller islands. Just going to be a devastating storm for the islands that eye passes over. And that tonight is Dominica. U.S. Virgin Islands are next. Puerto Rico, you're after that. For Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, right now, National Hurricane Center says a 6 to 9 foot storm surge. It's possible that goes up as the storm gains intensity. It's just going to be a destructive, damaging, just one for the record books for these areas. U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, this will likely be the strongest storm to ever hit you. Central and southern Leeward Islands, 10 to 15 inches of rain, isolated 20. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, same thing, up to 20 inches of rain. Puerto Rico, up to 25 inches of rain. This storm is going to have a long-lasting impact on the way of life. Power could be out weeks, months in some places. You need to get water, you need to get fuel, food, etc. Take care of the family. Don't take this one the chance. This one does not look like it's going to miss. It looks like it'll go down as the most intense storm, possibly the most intense storm to ever impact Puerto Rico. It's one for the record books. We're going to go to the radar. Back to the radar. It's a really good image here. This is just shows this has a couple small eye walls. Neither of them are dominating. They're concentric eye walls. Neither of them are fading out. Neither of them are intensifying. So that means no weakening. This is going to take it directly over Dominica, cause life-threatening conditions. Storm surge, 150, 60, 170 mile an hour gusts is possible. When these storms are rapidly intensifying like this one is, it brings down the winds from the atmosphere much easier, and that will cause extremely destructive winds, 150, 60, 170 mile an hour gusts possible. So get to the safest spot in your house, in your location. Cover yourself. Go in the interior room. Cover yourself with pillows and mattresses. Lay in the bathtub if you have to. You got to shield your head. Put a helmet on. You got to shield your body and head. Damage or the destruction. The structures will happen. Structures will not withstand these kinds of winds on that island. So I hope you guys are prepared because it's approaching and approaching quickly. This next infrared satellite image, wait for it to start back up, and it shows, look at the beginning here, it didn't even have an eye. That eye warms rapidly while the cloud tops surrounding the eye cool rapidly. This is a rapidly intensifying storm. Just look at how much it has improved in satellite image over just the past couple hours. No eye, and we'll just watch this thing blossom. It's stair-stepping its way for the past couple hours. North, west, north, just jogging back and forth. But the general motion is a west-northwest pass that'll take it right over the island of Dominica. I'm just going to leave this on here for a second. It's mesmerizing. This is from GO 16 infrared satellite image. Just take a second and admire it. It's a thing of beauty, but it is a thing of mass destruction. That satellite image easily represents a Category 5, and I truly believe when the hurricane hunters get in there in about an hour to an hour and a half, their wind data will show a Category 5. Pressure is probably closer to 940 than it is 950. At 5 p.m. they had it around 950 millibars. By the time hurricane hunters drop their stuff in there, it should be around 940, if not even lower. This thing is blowing up and doing it quickly. Just one last time, look at that eye develop clearly down to the surface. You can see not a single cloud in there. It does look like there's multiple vortices spinning around in there. Just going to be a devastating storm. So I'll take you to the next thing. This is Hurricane Jose. This is one of the ugliest looking storms that you ever see. It's just not a nice looking storm. Tropical storm watches were issued for the Delaware and New Jersey coastlines. They have been dropped. They might have been the least purposeful or the least needed tropical storm watches in New Jersey history. We'd be lucky to get gusts to 45, 50 miles an hour, let alone sustained in that range. The immediate beaches, you will see coastal flooding, minor to moderate at worst. Beach erosion will be pretty substantial probably in the normal places. If your normal beaches get washed away in a regular old nor'easter, not even a high-end nor'easter, this is pretty much the same thing. This is going to be a low to moderate nor'easter type event with less rain and less wind than we usually see in the wintertime nor'easters for this area here. As you get up to the Cape and New England, they do have tropical storm warnings into effect. You're likely to see tropical storm force gusts along the coast, possibly sustained for a couple hours. Eastern tip of Long Island, you will see, pretty substantial beach erosion, some minor tidal flooding, maybe moderate tidal flooding, but this is nothing to write home about. This is likely to do a little bit of a loop-de-loop and start to dissipate. Some models do bring it back in this direction. Most models just keep it up here and just die this thing out. But the future of this storm does have a lot to do with the eventual track and outcome of Major Hurricane Maria after it passes over in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. If this thing lingers strong enough, it will create a weakness in this high pressure that's going to build over here and will allow Maria to get out to sea. There might even be there's a technical term, no need to discuss it, but where the two systems interact, sending Jose or whatever is left of it back towards the coast a bit while slingshotting Maria out to sea. It's way too early to talk about that, way too early to know what's going to happen, but the eventual outcome and track and longevity of Hurricane Jose will play an impact, will play a role in the eventual outcome of Hurricane Maria. So the longer this stays around, is likely a much better thing, much better scenario for less impacts from Hurricane Maria from Florida to the Northeast. It's just too early to know exactly what's going to happen. Hurricane Jose is looking mighty ugly at this hour. We're going to show you the satellite image in a second, but this is one ugly system, and it'll be a low-end nor'easter type event. Folks in this area here deal with them sometimes dozens of times per year, at least a few times per year. This is nothing to worry about. Everybody will get through it. Sure, you might have a little bit of water in the roads from a couple high tides, but nothing to worry about here. So we're going to go to the satellite image of ugly Hurricane Jose, which I doubt is even a hurricane at this point still. Look at this thing. It's just a mess. Tremendous amounts of dry air getting sucked into the system here. In the last couple hours, there is a nice blow up of convection right north of the low level circulation, which I can't stop this because I brought up the GIF version of it. But the center of the storm is right in this area here, and as you can see, it is void of thunderstorm activity or convection. A nice blow up towards north in the last couple hours. This band right here is going to pivot close to the coast in the coming day or two. Really tomorrow morning actually, and that is pretty much the only chance of steady rain. It'll likely be a quick mover and it'll dry out. It won't dry out, but as for the steadiest rain, they'll pass through pretty quickly. You got a drizzle-filled day along the coasts, the NJ shore, New Jersey shore, Long Island, that kind of stuff. As you get up closer to New England, you can see 3 to 5 inches of rain out of this, gusts to tropical storm force, but again, nothing to worry about, no need to panic. Tropical storm watches have been dropped for the Jersey Shore, as they were just not needed to begin with. So I'm going to switch over to the GFS here, show you a little bit out to 5 days on the GFS, what it's showing for Hurricane Maria. And we have Jose up here, Maria down here. I'm going to put this into motion, and you can see what the next couple of days has in store for the system. As it passes over Dominica and the U.S. and Virgin Islands, GFS actually tracks this to the farthest east point of Puerto Rico. This would be good news for DR and Haiti. Still a very damaging storm for Puerto Rico. Again, southeast Bahamas brings it right over to it as a 929 hurricane. Oh, let's get rid of that. A 929 millibar hurricane. This is a substantial storm. Likely it'll be, at least that strong, if not stronger. Category 4 minimum. Category 5 likely. As you can see, let me clear these red marks off here. As you can see, the eventual track of Jose, see it's still lingering up there, creates a weakness allowing Maria a path north. If this system was picked up by the trough and sent out to sea, high pressure would be able to build back in this area quicker, which would push Maria more westward. This is still up for debate and still not set in stone. So if I push this a couple more hours into the future, we are approaching the 5-day track right now. We're at 5 days right here. Jose still in your picture, just meandering around up there. But as you can see, there is a weakness that will have developed by now that allows, you can see the weakness. Oh, I don't want that. Let me get rid of that. Sorry about that. That is the soundings in the GFS. Levi from tropicaltidbits.com has the best website out there. You can see the weakness up in this area here. So if I put this into motion, just a couple more frames, because after 5 days, these models are going to shift back hundreds and hundreds of miles in each direction. As you can see, the storm feels the weakness and is sent up and out to sea. So, phone is ringing. This seems to happen every video. I get 2 phone calls a day in the house phone, and they both seem to happen while I'm making a Tropical Chatter update video. Now we're going to switch over to the European model, which shows a similar outcome as the GFS. So we're starting now. This is, let me put this into motion just a little bit, get to the present time. We are at present day right now. Same thing, hurricane or whatever you want to call this subtropical mess of a storm, Jose. And intense category 4, borderline category 5, Maria. Let's put this into motion for a little bit here. 24 hours out, 48 hours out, a little bit farther west than the GFS, direct impact over the mainland Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands just getting devastated. 48 hours or 72 hours out, excuse me, this is almost over the top of the easternmost part of Dominican Republic. This is a bit farther south and west than the GFS. This would bring just immense damage and flooding to the Dominican Republic, wind damage, and it'll just be an absolute mess for those guys here. So you can see Jose is still on the northern side of this graphic here, and it is lingering. It's actually dropping down south here, and again, it is creating a weakness that Hurricane Maria will feel, and it'll send it out to sea, actually probably not even that close, out to sea as it feels this. Now, if Jose weakens much quicker than this, or scoots out quicker, if it gets picked up, which is unlikely right now, it does appear that it's going to do a loop. That would allow Maria to track much closer, if not into the southeast United States or northeast United States. The entire East Coast is still in play. It's one of the big cliches is from Florida to Maine, you need to watch this carefully. A lot of the times that's complete nonsense, but in this case it does seem like it's true. We just don't know how far north it's going to track or how far west it's going to track. So I'm going to put this a couple more frames, and we're going to end this video. 5 days out, you can see that it's clear as day here. Got a high pressure here, but there's an alley for Maria to track right up north, and that is caused 100% by Jose. Again, if Jose weakens quicker, meanders off a little bit faster, this may close, this may bridge the gap here, sending Maria back west, but we just do not know at this point here. I'll throw 1 or 2 more frames into this. This is at 5 days right now, and you can see it's just going to follow the weakness, and it's actually Going to do a little dance with Jose on this run, but it's so far out in the future that's going to change. But you can just see it follows the weakness right out to sea. This is not set in stone. I'm not even sure I should be talking about that far in the future, as areas along the East Coast, after Puerto Rico, after the U.S. Virgin Islands, Dominican Republic, and Southeast Bahamas, you need to watch Hurricane Maria closely. We just do not know how this is going to play out with Jose and the eventual outcome with Maria. So, Dominica, Guadeloupe, Martinique, U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Southeast Bahamas, Dominican Republic, gotta just batten down the hatches for Hurricane Maria. It's a borderline Category 5 storm, and it'll likely be Category 5 by tonight. It's going to cause devastation for where that small, tight core passes over. And if it passes over you, just be safe, and Lord be with you all. See you guys later tonight or tomorrow. Thank you.